What if you turn hardship into greatness, anger into serenity? Everything changes. Make your life a masterpiece. Understand conflict, and then you start understanding yourself and others. In the previous lesson, we talked about why understanding conflict is important. In other words, conflict is everywhere at any time. Therefore, we have to look at it as part of our lives. Therefore, the program is called conflict mastery and not conflict resolution, because you never ever resolve fully your conflict. They are reoccurring time and again. Therefore, we have to learn how to master it. What to do when we actually face conflict in order for us to live a meaningful and fruitful life with others together. So what does it mean when we understand conflict but then still struggle and are in conflict with our spouse or our friend? Why it is important to ultimately switch and ultimately look at it through a human identity needs lens, and what we can actually do and really how to do it. Understand first and foremost means that we see the positions, the common interests, but then also what is really underneath is our human identity needs, our common denominator that holds us together. Whatever we do, behavior is always a form of communication. No matter what you do it because there is a reason, whether you're conscious or unconscious. And these are really human identity needs. First and foremost, security. Secondly, you want to belong. It's about belongingness to people, to a tribe, to the world. Thirdly, you want to have recognition. You want to be recognized as a human being, as someone who is loving, as a father, a mother, a child, and so on. Fourthly, of course, you want to take action and you want to be empowered, and ultimately you want to change in a positive way your environment, really, and really the world. And lastly, this really fulfills you with meaning. It gives you a meaning that further enhances your sense of security, your sense of belongingness, your sense of recognition, your sense of action, creativity. So it's a reinforcing circle, really. And if you understand that, then you really start also understanding why at times it is not enough if you understand the mechanism of conflict, but that you actually look at through a human identity needs lens. Why it is so important? Exactly, it is because it really allows you to understand your interactions, your ongoing conflict. You might think that now I understand why conflict occur. However, at home I still have time and again the same conflict with my parents, with my spouse, brother or sister, or really at work with the same thing. So how do we go from understanding to really understanding and ultimately mastering it in order for us to make a difference and to de-escalate and really to minimize it and to change it and transform conflict into a meaningful source of growth in which we can start cementing and even further develop our relationships with our co-workers or really friends. That is today the question. And so if you think, okay, I have done everything, I have done the right thing, I understand the conflict, I am kind, but nonetheless, there's still some negative reaction. You still feel like there are tension, there is a conflict there that is not really addressed. Now you go and really go through the human identity needs. Do you give this person like the security that he needs? By that I mean, do you truly and carefully listen? Do you give your friend or your spouse the time and space to express her or himself? Do you give the space? Do you give the attention that the person really seeks in order to really give this security, this certainty? And in doing so, it really enhances the belongingness, right? Because if you feel like you belong, if someone cares about you, what you're saying, not just listening, but really understanding with your heart, your mind, and really body, then it's a whole different ball game. And then we go to the next. Do you really recognize someone's concerns? It might not be spoken out loudly, but the person might give you some hints. And then fourthly, do you give and provide the space in order for the person to really act and express him or herself in a constructive manner? And do you allow creativity to evolve by you, for example, asking open-ended questions? Ask question in general. What do you mean by that? Can you clarify this for me further? Tell me more. Why do you think this really matters to you? What makes it this way and not that way? Why do you think this is? And how do you think you can address this? Or how do you think you can make meaning out of this in order for you to help you in the pursuit of your things? So try to engage the person that you think you're still in conflict with a meaningful conversation, really by listening and asking questions, clarifying question, and rephrase really, okay, did I understand you correctly? Is it true that you mean this or you mean that? And how come you think that this is negligible, whereas this aspect is not negligible? And so on and so forth. In doing so, the other person really can tell that you are not just intellectually, but also emotionally and spiritually really involved in this whole process. In order to do so, you have to use clearly these human identity needs to identify where things are still lacking and how you can really help give birth to a more fruitful relationship to your friend. And this is really when you really go time and again through the human identity needs. Is there still a need for security for your friend? Is there still a sense of belongingness that I do not provide, that my friend is looking for? Thirdly, do I recognize her fears, her concerns? Fourthly, do I allow her to take action, to express herself, to be creative by asking appropriate questions, open-ended questions? And all this will really lead to a more meaningful interaction in which your friend really can start making meaning out of the discussion, and where she can feel somehow empowered to take further action and really further reflect. And then you go back to security. Did I provide the space, the security, the openness, the interest, the compassion, the curiosity, the genuine listening part? Did I give this sense of belonging, this sense of yes, I hear you? Do I recognize you as an important part in this process? And if you really do it again and again, you will really see where you might have some homework to do in order really to enhance the relationship. Because ultimately life is really all about relationships. We want to further enhance our relationship because that's what makes us human. We are here because we belong to, and we have this sense of being part of something much bigger than ourselves. That is the whole purpose of being in a society. We don't just do things for our own sake, but we really do it for the common good. And that's what you have to think as well when it comes to conflict, when it comes to difficult conversations or recurring issues that you face with your spouse or really with your co-workers. Go time and again and ask yourself, do I provide her or him with the security, with the connectedness or belongingness, with the recognition, with the action, in other words, with the empowerment and the creativity that this person has within herself or himself to really bring to the very fore. And lastly, this really enhances the meaning. And when those 4 human identity needs are met, then really true meaning comes into the equation, and it becomes a self-reinforcing cycle in which we go deeper and deeper and deeper and become more and more aware of what's going on within us and ultimately outside us. That's why knowledge matters. Make your life a masterpiece. Visit now programs.d-ykm.com. Meant to make you grow.